Hello, I am Leslie Leondis with Leondis CPA in Lake Jackson, Texas, and I just want to say welcome to our community. We are so glad to have you here. And why I wanted to start off one of the trainings is kind of my story of how I've transitioned from being a technician to a CEO role. And that kind of starts with kind of my journey to get here. So the first thing I want to talk about is where I was not an accountant to start with. I was in retail for a very long time. I was in retail management for 15 years before changing directions of my career later in life. And this story is kind of personal because I had to change my career because I loved retail management because it was challenging, but I went through some personal things where I went through a divorce and I had two young children at the time. They were 1 and 5. So retail management was not really made for a single mom because daycare did not work well for single moms working on weekends. So I was constantly having to find childcare for my kids. I was constantly having to shuffle them between me and my ex-husband, who was great with the kids and he always took care of the kids. But I wanted to be more involved in my kids' life. I wanted to be able to go to their softball games. I wanted to be able to do whatever, if they had a school play or whatever. I wanted to be able to do all those things. So I tried to find a career in something that I thought would work. So my mom had opened a bookkeeping business at that time. So she had told me, hey, go get your CPA license. And that way, you can work, just smaller hours and you can get paid more. Well, that sounded great to me. But what I didn't realize at the time was the investment that I was going to put in. And I've talked about this on several of my Facebook Lives about the investment that I had to put into myself and the amount of time. So I started my journey as an associate's degree in accounting. And then I went to get my bachelor's and then I went to get my master's. And the reason why I tell this story is because there's a lot around I'm just a bookkeeper and things like that. And that's not necessarily true because where I got most of my experience was actually life experience where I was able to work with clients, work on their books, and I learned that way. So even though I have all the degrees and the CPA license, most of my experience came from working with my clients. So for those of you that just say you're just a tax professional or you're just a bookkeeper, I challenge you not to say that because you have a lot of experience that you don't even realize that you have. So so I was working more when I started transitioning into my mom's firm and then eventually taking it over when I got my CPA license. I was working more then than I was in retail management at Christmas. So that was not really what I had thought it was going to be. And there was a lot of reasons why that, but I started searching for a better way to do things because I was working before my kids got up. I was working all the time. When they would go to bed, I would work again. And I just felt like I was working even more. I was working on weekends. On the weekends that they went to their dads, I was working the whole weekend. I would be working while the kids were at softball practice. I mean, just any chance that I could get because I felt so overwhelmed. So in that journey, I started looking for anything that could help get me out of that hamster cycle because even though I had taken over the firm for my mom, it was really underpriced. The services were not ideal. And I didn't know any better. I just followed suit right behind her. And she had learned it from the accounting firm that she worked for. So she was following suit behind them. And let's just face it, the public accounting industry sucks. It literally was sucking the life out of me because I felt like I was just in a constant state of chaos all the time. The clients had no boundaries. There was not a set way to bring things in. There was not a set pricing for anything. Everything was so complicated. So the traditional model was not what I wanted to work in. I wanted something different. I wanted to build something different. So my business partner and I, we invested in program after program after program, just finding anything that would solve this. So we started really taking stuff from programs, and we would implement it. We'd take stuff from another program, implement it. So we just invested in anything we possibly could find, because we were trying to build an actual firm that we actually could run. And our first goal was to work from our backpack. And that's what we did. We worked where we could just work from a laptop and a backpack. And that's what we did. But then we found we are working all the time. So yes, we are working from our backpack, but now we're really working even more, because when we were on vacation with our kids, we were still working. So then we were like, you know what, this isn't the right way to do this either. So then as technology evolved, our clients also expected us to be on call all the time. So which made it rather difficult to actually be present with our children. And then we also found that staffing was an issue, because people do not want to work that way. And so we went through several staff members. And so I had to change my whole mindset around going from technician, because at the time I was like, well, if we could just work more, then we'll work out of the problem. But the problem was, it just made it worse. So the more clients we brought on, the worse it got. So that is where I found my passion. I started changing our firm, and Lynn helped me. We went through so many different things to get to where we are now. And so what I'm challenging you with is, things can be different. It doesn't have to feel this way. So along the way, people started, as we transitioned from a technician to CEOs, we found different ways to actually do things. And so people started asking us in the industry, how did you do that? How did you build your team? How did you build your business where you can step away for weeks at a time? And so that's where I want to share with you in the rest of these trainings is how to actually go from technician to CEO. And then along that way of helping other people in the accounting industry, that's where Lynn and I just found our passion, that it doesn't have to be this way. So that's where we started really coaching on the fact that you can build a business that you actually love. So hopefully these trainings are helpful for you throughout this. And we really and truly want to help people in the accounting industry build businesses that they actually love. So I'm so glad to have you here, and look forward to talking to you in the Facebook group. And so if you have any questions, please drop them in the Facebook group. So have a great rest of your day.